Hello students, welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. Our topic for discussion is Integrated Marketing Communication, second semester MBA. This is one of the most important topics for the modern times because everything has become very complex. Like one professor was saying, the only constant is change now. So things are changing rapidly. Even in India also we see imperfect market conditions, in a sense that there is explosion of the media, there is a lot of social media, but there is a lot of incomplete information, incorrect information, and this is leading to a lot of problems between the consumer and the marketer, and the consumer and the government. So the need for perfect communication where clarity of information has to be given has become very important. And earlier days we had one product and everybody was buying the same product. Nowadays if you see product categories like mobile phones, we have 20-30 phones, and how to distinguish one phone from another, how to buy one from which phone is better, this is where integrated marketing communication comes into picture. And nowadays, especially with a lot of products looking similar, there is a lot of emotional buying that is coming into the play. So all this has meant that whatever we are trying to communicate with the customer has to become more and more clear. There is also hyper competition. Hyper competition means the markets are getting saturated. India's fast growing markets are overcrowded with products, and unfortunately what has happened is with lot of imports happening from China, there is a lot of imitation and fake products, and unless we are clearly communicating with the customer what is the correct product, there is a chance that the customer might end up buying a fake product. And lot of products are very similar, so how to say which one is better? And there is always a race to the bottom rather than a race to the top. What do you mean by race to the bottom is somebody always wants to sell the same product at a cheaper price. Now let us look at a promotion mix. A promotion mix, unlike the marketing mix, the promotion mix is a company's mix of all its communication. How is it going to communicate with the customer? It is a blend of tools used to inform, persuade and influence buyer. So we have three things: we have to inform, we have to persuade and we have to influence the buyer. It is very crucial part of the overall marketing mix, and unless you might have a great product, you might have a great price, you might distribute it properly, and unless if you promote it well, the product will not be bought by the customer. So let us look at the 5 key tools. There are a lot of other tools, but we tend to focus on 5 tools. The first tool is called advertising, which in most of the normal language, whatever we do is called advertising, but advertising is a very specific thing. It is a paid form of non-personal communication. So if you are looking at me now, I am coming to you over the television mode, and it is not non-personal communication. And when you are attending to a teacher on a Sunday in a B.R. Ambedkar study center, that becomes personal communication. So what I am right now doing is non-personal communication by an identified sponsor. So anybody talking on the TV is not advertising. So only if the advertisement or a spot is coming to you where we can identify a particular company, then we call it advertising. Then we have personal selling. You must have seen it a lot of times. They even come home to home, or they come to offices where one person is trying to sell a product to another person personally. So we call it personal selling, and that is face-to-face interaction with one or more buyers to make a sale. This can happen on the road, it can happen door to door at home, it can happen in an office. So that is called personal selling. And lots of time when you go to a supermarket, you will see 1+1 offer, or if you buy 2 we will give 1 off, or 50 rupees off. Those are called a sales promotion. What are sales promotions? Are short-term incentives. Please remember students, it is short-term inducements only, which means this inducement will be there only for maybe a few days or a few months. It will not be there for long. So discounts, coupons, and then lot of times what is happening is advertising, personal selling and sales promotion by itself might not work. We will have to deal with what is called as publicity and public relations. So in publicity and public relation, what we do is we try to build a positive corporate image, and especially let us take recently there was a big airline tragedy, and the entire Tata group had to handle a lot of negative publicity, and they came out with a lot of campaigns saying that we care for the customers, we care for the people who flew in that plane, we care for the students who died. So all that, combating that negative publicity is also very important. And nowadays in the modern era, direct marketing has become very, very important. So what is direct marketing? Is communicating directly with the targeted individuals to get an immediate response. You can say email, telemarketing, social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So there is no intermediary. We can directly talk, and the customer also can directly talk. It could be a company website, it could be any of these, for example, any of your Swiggy, Zomato, all these are direct marketing. Then let us in sum up each one of them little more briefly. We have advertising. Advertising will have print and broadcast. So it could be newspapers and magazines, it could be television, it could be video, it could be on YouTube. Then we have packaging inserts. Then we could also have brochures. Sales promotions could be contests, games, sampling, gifts. This can happen in fairs, trade shows. We can have public relations, which are press kits, speeches, annual reports, charitable donations. Personal selling could be sales presentations, sales meetings, incentives and programs. Direct marketing will involve catalogs, mailing, telemarketing, electronic shopping. So these are the different communication tools under different tools like advertising, sales promotion, public relations, personal selling and direct marketing. So now let's move on to in earlier times. What was happening is we were doing mass communication to lot of people. So one television ad in Doordarshan would reach millions of people. So now what has happened is, with the technology coming in like cell phones, laptops and iPads, now we are moving from mass to targeted. So now it is more and more about, especially with the coming of the mobile phones, we are trying to target individual customers. So earlier it was one to many, now it has become one to one. The focus is on connecting with individual customers with their names, and most of you will also get communication on your birthdays, wedding anniversaries, saying that on your birthday you will give you 10% discount. All that is targeted communication. Then what is this concept called integrated marketing communication? Integrated marketing communication is a simple concept that brings together all forms of communication into a seamless solution, which means whenever we are having a campaign, we are going to bombard the customer with all sort of communication tools. It ensures that all promotional tools work together in harmony. IMC is a planning concept that recognizes, this is given by Kotler, IMC is a planning concept that recognizes the added value of comprehensive plan to provide clarity, consistency and maximum communication impact. So we are trying to move away from a classic communication to integrated marketing communication, where we are aimed at retention and relationships, selective and targeted communication. It is no longer a monologue, we are going for a dialogue. We are having information only if it is requested, and it is not transaction oriented. In integrated marketing communication, we are looking at relationship, whereas in traditional communication we are looking at hard sell. In integrated marketing communication we are looking at soft sell. We only provide information and we leave the customer to take the decision. So it is effort to relevance. So reasons for the rise of IMC: advertising has become very, very expensive. So unless you ensure that all your money is correctly spent, the company will be in a big problem. And nowadays lot of database marketing has also come in. So this has led to the concept of one-to-one marketing. And media also is fragmented. In 1970s and 80s we had one channel only, and it was Doordarshan. Now I think we'll have 600, 700 channels. Then we have the YouTube, then we have the OTT market. So media is terribly fragmented. So and also what has happened in the last 10 years is dramatic shift towards online retailers. For example, large retailers like Reliance, Amazon, Flipkart now dominating and dictating terms to manufacturers. Environmental factors also change. Consumers' concern for the environmental forces make companies to adopt eco-friendly practices. And because of all this, there is a lot of price competition. Everybody wants to sell products at a cheaper price, and that has meant that the profits have eroded. So agency mergers have happened, increased global competition. Now the world is becoming a global place. All foreign products are now available in India, and the entire focus is on cost effectiveness. So the consumer has become the focus. Earlier it was the manufacturer. Now we have shifted to the concept of the consumer becoming a focus. So why is IMC so valuable? You can deliver consistent messages to the customer. You can have creative integrity, which means a uniform brand image is shown across all the platforms. We can better use the media, optimizing channels for maximum impact. We can get operational efficiency, we can have cost savings, we can have greater marketing precision, and we can also have stronger relationships. So finally the purpose is to elicit a desired response from the target audience. So also to have a continuous dialogue. Marketing communication is a multi-point and continuous dialogue between the firm and its customer, which means the dialogue between the customer and the company is 24/7, and messages must be consistently and constantly adjusted to in changes in consumer and business environment. So let us look at a communication model. You must have studied in business communication also. We have a source. He has got a message. So that message he will encode it and he will put it in a channel, and that whatever message will be received by the recipient, he will decode it, and depending on what he has understood, he will give the feedback in a form of awareness, or he will ask for the product, or he will buy. Sometimes what happens is there could be some noise created in the media or noise created in the channel that could lead to a lot of problems. Let us look at two very illustrative examples. One professor wanted to illustrate the wrong usage or the bad usage of alcohol. So what this professor did was, he bought one jar full of alcohol, and he put some mosquitoes and houseflies in it. So what he wanted to, so you can see in this particular visual, there are a lot of mosquitoes and houseflies in this bottle of alcohol, and after some time all the mosquitoes and houseflies died. So he asked the students, what is the lesson? And what he was expecting as an answer was that alcohol is bad for health. But one smart student got up and said, sir, by drinking alcohol, whatever small germs and insects that we have in our stomach, they will die. So this is getting miscommunicated, and the professor was very badly shocked, because he wanted to show that alcohol is bad for health, but his message was not correctly understood, and the student responded by saying that if you have small stomach aches, or if you have some problem, a stomach ache, by drinking alcohol our stomach will become better. So we should be very clear that the message that we want to say is clearly understood. We can have another example. In one Indian company wanted to sell detergent in Middle East. So what it did was, it showed a dirty cloth being dipped in the detergent, and the cloth becoming white. Everybody would say this is how normally detergent is sold. So but unfortunately, after the advertisement was released, actually the sale of the product went down. So then they did research, and traditionally most Indians would read from left to right. So what we are understanding is a dirty cloth, we are putting it in a detergent and it will become white. But unfortunately what happened in the Middle East people read exactly in the reverse. They would read from right to left. So what a Middle East person has understood is that we are putting a white cloth in a detergent powder and it will become black. So both these examples very clearly illustrate that it is not what you want to convey, it is how you are conveying and how it is being received that is more important. So how do you make communication more effective? The message has to be told very clearly, and there should not be any scope for any mix up or confusion from the customer side. The words are very important, the way it is conveyed, it is very important, colors are very important, the sound is very important, the visuals are very important. So it should take a very holistic perspective. The culture is very important. Okay, the cultures in different parts of India are very, very different. For example, if you take Western India, whenever somebody dies, they will show people wearing white. and white is shown as a color of mourning. But when you go to a foreign country, they'll start wearing black. So in Western countries, black is the color for mourning, whereas in Indian context, in the western part, especially in Bombay, it is white. But if you come to South India, white is seen as a very pure color, and white is even worn in marriages. So we should have very good clarity about what we are trying to communicate. And long term focus should be there. It is not that we will keep on changing message every 6 months or 1 year. If you look at maybe Lifebuoy, a very famous example from Hindustan Lever Limited, they have been consistently using the same message for the last 30-40 years. Or if you look at a product like Liril, or if you are looking at very famous products, even iPhone, they always are very consistent in saying the same message across maybe 20-30 years. Okay, so what is the entire purpose of this integrated marketing communication can be summed up by 4 letters, or these are AIDA. So also called the IDA model. What is the IDA model is any particular advertisement or a campaign that we are having first should create attention, which means the consumer should first notice it. Otherwise, if they don't even notice it, there is not going to be any further process. First of all, the customer should notice it either in a cell phone or a newspaper or television or outdoor media, or when he is going to the college or office or wherever. So the first thing is a campaign should create attention. After the creation of attention, it should lead to what is called as interest. So they should feel, oh, this is a good product, I am interested in it. Please remember, at this point there is no desire to buy. So attention, interest. After frequent interactions with the media, after frequent interactions with his friends, after frequent interaction with already existing buyers, this person might go for a YouTube to check out how the product is performing, or he can ask his friends to show the product performance, or he could go to the showroom and see the product. So after attention and desire, once he sees the product, for example, if I go and see, let us take a particular car. When I am given to test drive the car, there is a desire for me. So that desire, once the desire comes in, I think 3/4 of the job is done. And once a desire has been developed in the consumer, if it is backed by money, the customer will jump into action. That action is nothing but buying. So the most important 4 elements are attention, interest, desire and action. So but unfortunately what will happen is, because of this clutter of so many promotions coming to the customer at the same time, lots of time the customer suffers from 3 particular problems. One is called selective attention. People only notice a fraction of the messages that they receive. For example, nowadays I tend to see a lot of educational loans for students for foreign studies. Even because my daughter is going to a foreign country, now I am more selectively attended towards that particular thing. So even though I am being bombarded maybe by television advertisements, by cell phone advertisement, whenever I find XYZ bank advertisement about a particular loan, moratorium, lesser interest, so that is selective attention. And not only selective attention, I could also suffer from something called as selective distortion. So what is selective distortion is, I might have a feeling that, oh, all private banks are not very good. So I will be looking at those advertisements with lot of suspicion, whereas nationalized banks, I will see that, oh, all nationalized banks, because they belong to Government of India, they are better. So this is called selective distortion. And not only with selective attention and selective distortion leads to something called selective absorption and recall. Some private bank might give me slightly lesser interest, but I will ignore it and still go for a slightly higher interest rate by a nationalized bank, saying that no, my property is more secure, my fixed deposit is very secure. So these are some of the problems that all IMC marketers have to face, that customers pursue advertisement from their previous experiences. So how do you make your message resonate? What do you mean by resonate is, how do you make the customer believe in your message? Okay, say strong believable source increases impact. For example, we have a health drink for the children. So if you have a health drink for a children and have a movie star promote it, none of the customers will believe. So a company like Boost went in for Sachin Tendulkar. So Sachin Tendulkar was seen as a strong, believable source because he started his career when he was only 15 years old. All the mothers of the children also believed it. So first we had Sachin Tendulkar, and then of course nowadays we are having Mahendra Singh Dhoni. So a strong, believable source will increase the impact, and the message should align with the beliefs of the customer. So for example, let us take, we are looking at a real estate company which is trying to sell products. So they would relate to a person who is very close to their hearts, or as a person who is let us take an influencer who is aligning with their existing beliefs. So then what we need to do is, some of these illustrative examples that were given are messages that have cut across and have stayed for 30 to 40 years. For example, the first one we see, Hamara Bajaj. Hamara Bajaj, if you all remember, Bajaj was a scooter. After all, it is a two-wheeler. But what Bajaj said is, Bajaj is India and India is Bajaj. So what they said is, if you are patriotic, if you are having love for the country, if you like products that are made in India, you should have Bajaj. So for long time it was never called Bajaj, it was called Hamara Bajaj. So even where I worked in Ethiopia, the three-wheelers or the autos have become so popular that they are not called autos like in India, they are called Bajaja. So that's the power of communication. So Bajaj has remained in the top of our mind, and we all remember that for a long time all our first riding experience on a two-wheeler was a Bajaj. Whenever there was a dowry, the demand was for Bajaj. That's the power of communication. And the second thing, even today, is a 2-minute noodle. So whenever we say noodles, the first thing that comes to our mind is Maggi, and Maggi 2 minutes noodle. And Tata, for example, Tata has got so many companies, but Tata always has remained the very solid Indian company, and they did a very iconic campaign where they said, we also make steel. So it's a very symbolic thing of how powerful Tata is. And of course we have Cadbury Gems, Cadbury 5-star, Cadbury Dairy Milk. These are all iconic products and campaigns. So our integrated marketing communication, what are the criteria on which you decide what type of campaign to have? First of all, it is the nature of the product. So industrial product, for example, if you are having a product like a heart-lung machine, or products that are sold for doctors or for hospitals, when the product is worth around 1 crore, you cannot sell it through advertising on the TV. So industrial goods will need more personal selling, whereas consumer goods which are available for 5 rupees, 10 rupees, chocolate, shampoos, hair cream, powders, they will need more advertising for the market. So the quickest way to remember is, the costlier the product, the lesser will be advertising, but there will be more personal selling. And the stage of the product life cycle is also very important. Like there are 4 stages: introduction, then growth, then maturity, decline and death. In the introduction stage, companies use more advertising, publicity and personal selling to create awareness, and during the decline stage, they will start cutting all their promotional effort. Obviously, the nature of the market also will dictate. If there are few customers in a small area, for example, let us take a place like Kukatpalli, and Kukatpalli has got a cluster of hospitals, and there are, in fact, the entire KPHP is full of hospitals and clinics. There they will not do advertising, they will rather go by personal selling. They will have a lot of medical representatives, and I am not surprised if 20-30 companies at least have 60-70 salespeople who are only visiting the 2-3 small gullies at KPHP, because it is all concentrated, and they don't need to do any advertising. Personal selling would be enough. So if let us take a country like ours, which is very huge, and customers are spread throughout the world. If the customers are spread throughout the world, customers are spread out in a large geographical area, from Jammu and Kashmir to Andaman and Nicobar, and from Gujarat to somewhere in Meghalaya, their personal selling will not work. Then maybe we'll start using advertising, we'll start using sales promotion. Also, obviously, everything is finally, as they say, rokda or funds. When we have a large budget, we can use a mix of all tools. For example, let us take he's a startup or a small company, they'll have a small budget and they will be very selective, and maybe they'll use direct marketing, then they might use the social media tools, and maybe for big customers they might even do personal selling. Okay, so what are the key consideration? We are still continuing. So one promotional strategy that all marketers tell is what is called as a push strategy, another called as a push strategy, pull strategy, push strategy, and we also call it push-pull strategy. What is a push strategy? Is manufacturers will keep on pushing the product down the funnel. What do I mean by the funnel is there is a manufacturer, there is a wholesaler, there is a distributor, there is a dealer, there is a retailer and the consumer. So what the manufacturer does is he will push the product to the wholesaler. The wholesaler will push it to the distributor will push it to the retailer, and the retailer will push it to the consumer. Suppose we do it in a reverse way, we do lot of advertising and there is lot of demand that gets into the market, the customers will start pulling the product, which means a customer will go and ask the retailer for the product. Because the retailer is asking, the retailer will go and ask the distributor, I want the product. The distributor will go and ask the wholesaler, and the wholesaler will go and ask the manufacturer. So if the company is pushing down the funnel, we call it push strategy, and if the customer is pulling it by demand, we call it pull strategy. And lot of big companies use both pull and push, which means the company is pushing and the customer is pulling. So this is a very important strategy, I think one of the favorite among all marketers, which is called push-pull strategy. And also the criticality of the readiness of the buyer is very, very important. The buyer is in which state? He is in the awareness stage, or is in interest stage, or is in a desire state. So unless you push the consumer through these three stages, he will not go for the action stage. So please remember students, whenever we are saying action, it is about buying. It is about coming and inquiring, it is asking about discounts, it is asking about payment schedules, it is asking about warranty. Don't then just think that action means coming and buying. Even the process of coming to a retail shop is also action, because if he is entering into a retail shop, it most probably means that is 90% decided to buy. So at the shop stage, only two things can work. We cannot put another advertisement and ask him to buy it. At the showroom, it has to be personal selling, and along with personal selling, sales promotion will also come in a picture. You must have seen, they will say, sir, last 3 days, or if you buy now, you will get 30% discount, you will get a home theater free, we will give you extended warranty. All those are sales promotion. So how do you measure whether your message has been successful or not? Because we are spending a lot of money. The company executives or the MD or the director marketing will ask you, how do we evaluate whether our message has been received or not? Whether it has been received properly, whether they have understood it properly, and what behavioral evaluation. For example, did it create awareness? Did it create brand loyalty? Did it create action to coming to the retail shop? So the first thing, the key metrics for a lot of companies is awareness. So under awareness, we call what is called as brand recognition. So when I show a particular logo, the customers, are they able to understand the brand or not? And not only are they able to recognize, they should also be able to recall. They should be able to go to the office and say, oh, today I saw this wonderful advertisement of so and so bank, or so and so car, or so and so mobile. So that is, first of all, you should be able to recognize a brand, and then we should be able to recall the brand. Then obviously knowledge about the features and benefits. For example, whenever we see an iPhone, automatically know that the processor is very good, the security is very good, and the camera quality is very good, the video quality is very good, and in fact a lot of people even have knowledge that you can even shoot a regular feature film with a very advanced phone like a iPhone. So what could be the tools for measurement? So one could be something called as concept testing. Under concept testing, we are using focus groups to test whether the ads have been understood correctly. Then we can go for recall and recognition tests. We can also go for attitude and opinion tests. So what are the key takeaways for this particular lesson, especially as important as integrated marketing communication? The first key takeaway is, it is a hyper competitive market. Today there are a lot of companies which are coming in and lot of companies are exiting out. So it is not the 60s and 70s that you can get away with a mediocre product. Now you need to have an excellent product and excellent marketing communication also. A fragmented, in a hyper competitive market, a fragmented message will fail. So the second key point is a strategic solution to create a unified, consistent brand voice. So throughout, wherever they are seeing, whether it's a television advertisement, newspaper advertisement, radio advertisement, Facebook advertisement, the consistently same message should be given. And the third key and last and most important is we need to have a continuous dialogue focused on building relationships and eliciting a desired response. So earlier days what used to happen is we could sleep at home, but no longer. Now the consumer is open 24/7, he is interacting with the company 24/7, he is giving his feedback 24/7. So unless we are going to do that, we will not be able to perform in this ultra competitive market. So that was our lesson on integrated marketing communication. Thank you very much, and please go back to the notes that is provided where you can read all these topics in detail. Okay, so what are the key takeaways for this particular and interesting lesson on integrated marketing communication is the markets have become hyper competitive. So what we mean by hyper competitive is there are limited customers but very large number of sellers. So in this hyper competition you need to have a great product and a very consistently clear message. Second is not only should you have a clear message, but you need to have that clear message consistently told across the media. So the media could be television, the media could be radio, and the media could be newspapers, the media could be internet, it could be YouTube, it could be Facebook. So whatever message that you want to give should be consistent across the media. And the third important and the last and the most important key takeaway is that we need to have a continuous dialogue with the customers, because customers nowadays are on 24/7. So they have the internet, they have the mobile phones, and they are directly interacting with the customer, and the marketers cannot even sleep anytime. So they will give feedback and the customers are expecting that you give them back response immediately. So if you can keep this consistent dialogue going between the consumer and the manufacturer, the company has got better chances to succeed.